Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker. It's part 2 of our winter sports previews, and we pick up with boys basketball this week. And to talk about public schools basketball with me, here is South Hagerstown head coach Kevin Naylor. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Yeah, thank you, Wes.
Always good to see you. And as the brand new season gets underway at South Hagerstown, you have a player back in Jordan Luna, who a year ago was number 1 in the county in terms of players who are returning this year in 3 different categories: points per game, 16, assists per game, 5.3, and steals per game, 3. So that's not a bad place to start, but you're also filling in with some other guys, names that we don't know. Talk about those guys a little bit.
Well, we got a transfer in from TJ. He played for TJ last year. He transferred into South this year, and Jacoby Lott is his name. He's a good player. I mean, he's going to be somebody that gives us a lot of help. He shoots the ball really well. He handles it well. It's sort of like Luna in a lot of ways. So that's going to be a little challenge for Luna, along with Jeffrey Wetzel, who's a sophomore, who can flat out shoot the ball. He plays, has a great basketball IQ. So Luna's got a lot of help. That's going to be an adjustment for him because it's probably more help than he had last year. So it's going to be a challenge for him to make that adjustment.
Yeah, Wetzel, a young player with unlimited range. Now, every year is different. So how is this team different this season, and what are your expectations of them?
Well, we're used to probably in the fact that we're used to having some size in the paint. 6'3", 6'4", and we have a couple guys that are 6'3", 6'4", but just don't have the playing experience.
Well, you went 15-9 a year ago, 9-3 in the Antietam Conference. Williamsport had the best record in the county with a 21-4 mark. Antietam Conference champions at 11-1. They graduated 3 starters from that team, and a 4th opted not to come back this season. So you would think in some ways that the cupboard's a little bit bare there. However, Michael Riley, who is now a junior this year, was tremendous a year ago as a sophomore. 29 points right out of the gate this season for Williamsport. And I don't know that in the fact that they've established a program there, and Coach Grable certainly is a disciple in that he graduated from there, went away, came back, now the coach there. You figure that he's going to find something that's going to work.
Oh yeah, Grable's a great coach. I mean, he's one of those coaches that are dedicated. He just doesn't coach at November 15th.
Yeah.
He's there all year round, making sure his players get some gym time, making sure they're in the weight room, the conditioning. So, they're going to have a program. Michael Wally, he's a great player. He's a very good player. So, and I think with players like that, it seems to just, fall off of them onto other players that, this is what we need to do to be successful. And with Ryan, that's going to be the standard.
Smithsburg was the only team who was able to beat Williamsport in conference play a year ago. The Leopards wound up 13-11. They had a heartbreaking loss in the playoffs, an overtime game against Manchester Valley, where Manchester hit a 3 in the late stages, one that just sort of came out of nowhere. And now Smithsburg, a team that doesn't have a whole lot coming back, you don't think, but then you look at the roster and they've got 8 seniors there. They have the leading returning rebounder in the county in Patrick Coleman coming back, and a versatile guard in Justin Smith. But Smith, who had 13 points in the first game of the season for Smithsburg this year, was basically the bulk of the offense. They only scored 29 points in that first game. So you kind of look at that and you say, well, yeah, 3 of the guys who graduated last year accounted for basically 55% of their offense a year ago. So that's a lot to replace there. Now, as far as North Hagerstown is concerned, Hubs were 8-16 last year. That ended a streak of 4 straight winning seasons for North. And you talk about post players and size, something that Kevin Hartman hasn't had much of at North. Seems like they don't grow them much taller than 6'1" over there. He does have a couple of 6'4" post players, but it looks like 5'9" guard Elijah Stubbs, who is the returning leading scorer and steals leader for North Hagerstown, is sort of ready to elevate his game, as he last year averaged 11.4 and 2.6 in those categories, 22 and 9 steals in the first game of the season. So, I mean, that's getting it done on the defensive. You're looking for somebody to play defense. might be across town there at North Hagerstown and Elijah Stubbs.
Yeah, I don't think Kevin Hartman would like that. Come on, say, come on
No,
over.
well, I'm not suggesting. I'm not suggesting.
I know what
Maybe you
you're
guys
saying.
can work out some sort of trade or
Yeah.
something. No, but I'm just saying that might be where the defense is right now.
Oh yeah, I mean they're going to be solid. They're going to be they're going to be solid. There's no question about it. I think he's sort of in the same situation I'm in with. He's got guards because Elijah's not the only one. He has the other kid. I can't think of his name.
Malik Carey.
Malik Carey, yeah. He's gonna help him. So
Yeah.
they're going to be solid. I mean, I think the Antietam's going to be a little tougher than people expect it to be.
Yeah, I think Boonesboro will be a little in the mix this year too. Nate Saunders, probably one of the more well-rounded guards that people don't know about
Right.
coming back. A year ago, he averaged nearly 10 points per game, along with 4 boards and better than 3 assists per game. And maybe the fifth season is the charm there for Skip Chambers, who's been looking for that winning season there. Again, we talk about programs. It's been tough to kind of get that basketball program going at Boonesboro. At Clear Spring, second season there for John Hutzel, and he's got a couple of players coming back who averaged double figures last year, and you figure there are only 5 returning scorers among public school players coming back who averaged double figures. Spencer Schultz, who put up 12.9 per season or per game a year ago, and Joey Fisher, his 6'5" frame, certainly something to deal with on the interior, 11.5 points per game and 6.7 rebounds. So I think, all throughout the county, there are some teams who have some pieces there. It's just going to depend on who can put them together. And speaking of that, I guess come back to your South Hagerstown team. What will it take, aside from getting that defense kind of buckled down a little bit, for this team to get to where you would like to see them by the time the season comes to the latter stages?
I think we just have to continue to work hard, and and that's in all aspects of the game. I think one of the major parts is going to be learning each other. With new players, Luna having filtered in some new players that can score. Him understanding that the burden's not on him to score, that it's on him to facilitate a little more this year, and whether he's willing to do that. And I think Jordan, he's one that will make that adjustment. How quick is going to be the question.
Yeah, well, hopefully for you in South Hagerstown, it'll be very quickly, Coach. As always, good to see you and best of luck this season.
Hey, thanks, Wes.
I'll be back right after this. Our basketball previews continue with the private schools and Coach Bernie Klutz from Broad Fording in just a moment.
Behind every great child, there is a great foundation. Premier Martial Arts will empower your child and give them a premier foundation to success. Our instructors have the passion to teach classes designed to build premier skills. Your child will develop greater self-control, confidence, and concentration. Premier Martial Arts will take your child up the path of greatness. Call Premier Martial Arts today.
For over 25 years, Tony's Pizzeria has been serving authentic Italian cuisine. Open daily for lunch and dinner. Stop by today and enjoy one of their many house favorites, made fresh from scratch daily, in the newly expanded and remodeled dining area. Serving a full liquor bar, beer, and wine, Tony's 50-person banquet room is perfect for your next celebration. Dine in, take out, or delivery. Come see what's new at Tony's Pizzeria Restaurant and Grill, 10 East Salisbury Street in Williamsport.
Welcome back to the show. Our boys basketball previews continue now with the private schools, and joining me is last year's Inside Sports Coach of the Year, Bernie Klutz from Broad Fording. Coach, welcome back to the program. Always glad to have you here, and once again this season, very ambitious schedule for Broad Fording Christian. Already, I believe, a fifth of the way into that regular season schedule. 3-3 right now. Had a 3-game winning streak at one point. Couple of losses back-to-back, and so far this year it seems like the wins are by big margins, the losses have been by big margins. What will it take to create some consistency with this team and get them to accomplish what you would like to have them accomplish?
Very emphatically, Wes, better defense and a more patient, structured offense.
And is part of that just due to the fact that with the unit that's back this year, having graduated 4 a year ago, not getting everybody back that you expected, is it taking a little time with this group to gel right now?
Absolutely it is. We have a few players playing positions they've not played in previous years. They're getting accustomed to those roles and their movements within the offense and defense at those new positions. But I have every confidence that in the near future we'll get it squared away.
Well, this is your 11th year now at Broad Fording, so you bring a ton of experience to a team that isn't terribly experienced overall, but coming off an MDCC championship last year where you ran the table there in the conference. So certainly you're not on that list in terms of being the hunted, or I should say the hunter. You're more or less the hunted this season. So how do you rise to that challenge as a coach, given the fact that you only have 9 players on the roster, but it looks like only 8 that you'll be able to go with? So what adjustments do you need to make there?
Well, Wes, we've got to be in top shape. We've stressed conditioning so that hopefully our players can sustain a high level of play for a longer period of time. But Wes, we are the hunted. We'd rather be the hunted than the hunter, and we have pride in what we've accomplished. The group we have back is hardworking. They want to succeed, so we'll just play hard and see where it takes us.
Well, you have 2 certainly cornerstones there, I think, in Isaiah Daniels, senior guard, who last year knocked down 68 three-point shots, which is a very impressive figure. And then Dom Shikiskas, who is playing, it might be one of those who's playing a little bit out of position this year, a guy who's 6'7", handling the ball a lot. How much of the onus will be put on those 2?
A great deal of the onus. You might even say the burden of the ball handling. However, DeAndre Gonzalez, a rising sophomore, 6'1", do-it-all player, is rising to that occasion too and is handling the ball very well. Another young man who has switched positions from the inside to the outside.
Yeah, and the learning curve sometimes takes a little time to catch up, and again, with the schedule that you play, there's not a whole lot of time for that. You started with Goretti,
yes,
a team that scored 100 points against you, and it looks like with St. Maria Goretti this season, brand new coach there in Matt Miller, that they're just off to one of those starts that they've been looking for a long time, because they win their own tournament, the MAIT,
yes,
and they beat a Mount St. Joseph team that they hadn't beaten in the last 26 tries the other night. I mean, that's just a solid group right there over at Goretti this season.
It is. And Wes, it was actually a pleasure to play Goretti. That might sound a little odd after getting beat by 37 points, but just a marvelous team, well coached, no drop off at all from Coach Rayfield to Coach Miller. A gracious bunch of winners, and we learned a great deal from that game.
From St. Maria Goretti, kind of look at St. James, because 2 teams that really vied, I think, for top honors to some degree in the county last year, especially on the private school landscape, notwithstanding your team and Heritage too. But St. James with Justin Robinson back, a guard who's ticketed for Virginia Tech. He led the county in assists a year ago. He's off to a great start this season. But there's a guy over there that I noticed in the game that they played against St. John's Catholic Prep, a sophomore, who reminds me a lot of Terrence Mayimba, who graduated there last year, a Division I player in Omar Haweb, who can just jump out of the gym. He's 6'4". He is so impressive, and I think Coach Preet has really started a pretty good program there. I know this is only his second year, but coming in from Montrose Christian, I think he's got some connections there and bringing some guys in, and he gets a couple of twins too coming in from Winchester in the Golden brothers, Grant and Bryce, 6'9" and 6'6" respectively, and that's something you can't teach when you bring that size in.
That's exactly right.
That's a great luxury to have there, and St. James off to a great start at 3-0, and having graduated the Inside Sports Player of the Year a year ago, I mean, that's saying something.
It sure is.
Come right back and start off, and they play a tremendous schedule too. Last year, I think they played the top 2 teams in the entire country in terms of high school teams. So the schedule they play is just out of this world. As far as Heritage Academy is concerned, looks like they got a lot back this year, Coach. Chris Harrell seemingly has been there forever. He is a senior this year, made 63 three-point field goals last year out of his 144 that he scored, 17.2 points per game. He's actually the returning leading scorer in the county. And then you've got a couple of guys who are just great at banging the boards, and Nate Patey and Cullen Knipe. Going to be a pretty good challenge against that team that you beat twice last year.
Yes, sir. It definitely will be. And Coach Kidd does such a marvelous job with his personnel year in, year out. But you're right, those 3 are formidable players. They rise to the occasion every game, and they have a very nice supporting cast.
What seems like you and Heritage always bring the best out in each other. There aren't a whole lot of games that are separated by a lot of points. They are always very competitive and a lot of fun to watch.
Okay. Yes,
also in the MDCC, I think it's certainly worth mentioning Grace, who still has a rather young team, But Mark Kuntz and Harrison Barger, two guys who were back who averaged double figures a year ago,
Yes.
and some other sophomores there on that team that seems like it's on the rise and can only get better.
Very well said. That's exactly right. They are on the rise, can only get better. They have a 6'10" transfer.
Wow.
And also a young man from Australia in the 6'4", 6'5" range who both can really play.
And Josh Barnhart takes over there after 3 games. Team was off to a 2-1 start,
Yes.
replacing Rick Galladay. Coach, what's it going to take here for this Broad Fording team to get back to where you were last season by the end of the season, because there's plenty of time to improve? What are your signposts along the way in terms of assessing this team? Where do you start looking at it? Is it every 5 games? Is it every game? Is it the middle of the season? I mean, where do you draw the line there on, you're saying, hey, here's the kind of the team we're going to be this season?
Mm-hmm. Actually, we've just reached signpost number 1.
Okay.
After 6 games, we've stepped back and assessed, and we do see improvement. Particularly Wes last night against Allegheny, we had a 27-point fourth quarter offensively.
Wow.
When the team finally ran the man offense to our satisfaction. So I would say, yes, we have signposts about every 6 to 12 games. Every 6 games. We've just finished signpost 1. But if this team will play defense and will become more structured and patient on offense, I think we'll see the improvement we're looking for.
Well, best of luck to you throughout the course of the season, Coach. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank you very much.
Likewise, Wes. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. I will be back right after this. I've got the wrestling preview coming up with Coach Greg Slick from North Hagerstown in just a moment.
For over 25 years, Tony's Pizzeria has been serving authentic Italian cuisine. Open daily for lunch and dinner. Stop by today and enjoy one of their many house favorites, made fresh from scratch daily, in the newly expanded and remodeled dining area. Serving a full liquor bar, beer, and wine, Tony's 50-person banquet room is perfect for your next celebration. Dine in, take out, or delivery. Come see what's new at Tony's Pizzeria Restaurant and Grill, 10 East Salisbury Street in Williamsport.
Behind every great child, there is a great foundation. Premier Martial Arts will empower your child and give them a premier foundation to success. Our instructors have the passion to teach classes designed to build premier skills. Your child will develop greater self-control, confidence, and concentration. Premier Martial Arts will take your child up the path of greatness. Call Premier Martial Arts today.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with our previews now, and it's time for wrestling. And I'm joined by North Hagerstown head coach Greg Slick. Welcome to the show, Coach. Coming off a sensational year for North Hagerstown wrestling a season ago, and certainly looking for more of that success this season. Now, you're a tough guy to impress. 36 years as head coach. What's impressing you with the group you have this season to this point?
Wes, I'll be honest with you and tell you that it's the way they work in practice that's impressed me the most. We've got some very skilled, very talented young athletes that have come to us this year. But it's the way that they've worked and prepared, starting last season pretty much right after the state tournament was over. Those guys stayed after mat time, through tournaments and camps and clinics, and they've continued to work with each other throughout the summer and fall to condition, lift, get stronger. And that is kind of the hallmark of a champion, is those athletes that are willing to go above and beyond what's required by the coach to get better.
Is it remarkable to you that, given what North Hagerstown accomplished last season, state team title and a 30-1 record and everything that went along with it, that you have guys who are so optimistic about pushing the bar even higher?
Yes. And just to tell you my mindset and the mindset of the rest of the coaching staff, we've said to them since last year at the end of the year, this season's over. In wrestling, we like to say that there's 2 seasons. There's preparation season and competition season. And we're involved in competition season right now.
And you get 2 state place winners back from last year in Hunter Faith and Aaron Dobson to sort of lead the way. But there's also a newcomer there who is sort of drawing a lot of fanfare. Could you talk about him a little bit?
Well, there's 3 kids that I'd like to talk about.
Okay.
I'm sure that you're talking about Brian Stewart.
Yes.
All right, Brian is a national champ. Brian's wrestled locally here through the Police Athletic League and Renegade Force and some other club wrestling opportunities. Brian won the Tulsa Nationals last year, and he's currently ranked 14th in the nation by Flow Wrestling, which is one of the major supporters of amateur wrestling throughout the country. Brian, I'm going to use the term real deal. Brian is the real deal. He's got all the talent and athletic ability that's going to take him as far as he wants to use it to go. But we've also got Aaron Brooks, who is a younger brother of Isaiah. Aaron has been wrestling a ton since he was 4 or 5 years old. He's also had some opportunity to wrestle at the national level and has done pretty daggone well. And then there's another young kid, Dalton Tiffany, who is come up through the local junior league programs. He hasn't had the national exposure that Aaron and Brian has, but he's wrestled with Aaron and Brian. And anytime you get somebody on the mat that you have to work so hard to compete against, it only makes you better.
Oh, no question about that. Now, within the county, let's start there. Williamsport last season had its best season ever from a record standpoint, 21-3, but North Hagerstown still absolutely blew everybody away at the county tournament. Williamsport returns 10 wrestlers who won 20 or more matches last year, while North returns 12. Looks like another head-to-head battle within the county this year between Williamsport and North. How do you size that one up right now?
Wes, it's hard to say because with wrestling, you look for those key matchups. If we have a strong guy going against another strong guy that Williamsport has, who knows how that one's going to turn out. If you've got somebody strong going against somebody weak, hopefully you're going to be able to get a pin out of that. But in dual meets, it's always going to come down to how many pins we get, how many pins Williamsport gets, and both teams are capable of putting people on their back and keeping them there. I'm going to tell you that I think one of the reasons that we did so well last year was because of that competition that we got right here in Washington County. There's pockets of greatness at all the schools, and there's some pretty good wrestlers out there that are going to continue to get better and improve all the way up through the state tournament in March.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much doubt about that. The West region has always been strong, but the county really seems to be, sort of, as we said earlier, kind of raising the bar as far as wrestling is concerned. And the competition level, you look at a Smithsburg team that was 9-14 last year, winless in the conference, but they had a guy who went all the way to a state championship match in Bryce Scott, and it looks like he will sort of be their shining light again this season. For Boonesboro, that's a team that's hoping for bigger and better things and really hoping to get some things done as a team. And one thing that North hasn't had trouble with, which Boonesboro has, is getting a number of wrestlers out. And you have to be able to fill those weight classes. Dalton Hawkins leads the way there at Boonesboro. But it's very frustrating to go into a match, I would guess, and have to forfeit at any time. You don't want to give points away.
No, Wes, nobody ever wants to give points away. And we've been very lucky at North that our numbers have always been good. Some of those schools do have low numbers right now. And I don't know the reason for that because all of us have a feeder program that sends, kids from a junior high school opportunity, into the high school. Sometimes kids get tired of it. Sometimes kids change sports and they decide that they want to play basketball or they want to focus just on football.
Well, and there are many more opportunities these days too, so the choices are much greater than they used to be. South Hagerstown, of course, has had sort of the musical coach situation going on there, just trying to get something consistent happening there, and hopefully for them, they can kind of get back on the map because that would just help make the county stronger as a whole. On the private school level, St. James was 11-4 last year. It's going to be interesting this season because St. James and Williamsport get together for a dual meet, so that will maybe provide a little bit of a sense of where St. James is and where Williamsport is when we see private versus public schools. But as far as North Hagerstown this season, I know goals are set as the season goes along. Some goals are set before the season goes along. What are your expectations? Is there something that you can kind of give us a broad stroke on as far as what you're thinking?
Wes, the kids have really decided that they want to try to get back to that state dual meet championship opportunity again. We did a great job in the regional tournament, won a real tight match against a tough Urbana team, and then went down to the state dual meet championships at North Point High School and came up 1 point short to Damascus.
So trying to get the one that got away last year.
Well, that seems to be what's on the front of everybody's mind right now. Of course, we want to win as many dual meets as we can again. The kids had a great weekend at Aberdeen last weekend, went 5-0 and won a championship there. The Washington County tournament is always an important event, for local wrestling. So, that's something that we'll start to talk about and think about more in February. But for right now, we're trying to get ready for Frederick tomorrow night, and then Williamsport and Middletown on Saturday. And, we'll see how things roll out. Saturday's match is going to be just, another one of those opportunities for folks to come and see some really good high school wrestling.
Yeah, that'll be at Williamsport. Coach, thank you very much for being here, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the course of the season.
Thank you, Wes.
I'll be back right after this. I got one more preview, the Washington County North Stars hockey preview, right after this.
Since 1963, you've been trusting the folks at Hagerstown Floors. It's still a family-owned and operated business featuring a variety of high-quality flooring choices for your home, like carpet, ceramic, hardwood, vinyl, and we offer floor sanding and refinishing for your existing hardwoods. And you'll find us stocked warehouse, full of flooring options for do-it-yourselfers, or take advantage of our in-house installers for expert installation. Hagerstown Floors on Virginia Avenue in Hagerstown, the trusted name in flooring since 1963.
If there's one thing my dad taught me, when life doesn't go exactly how you plan, keep it simple. Sometimes a few curveballs are thrown your way. With one visit to Bank of Charlestown, they helped me map out a strategy to start the next chapter of my life. Even though I work with my hands, I still work with people. That's what BCT does best. They're my trusted advisor for all the details and whatever comes next.
From home improvement loans and mortgages to business lines of credit, find out what a partnership with BCT can do for you. BCT, we simplify your financial life. Now in Hagerstown.
Welcome back to the show. Our final preview focuses on a winter sport truly associated with the weather the season brings. Yet, ironically, it's the sport that got the earliest start, ice hockey. The Washington County North Stars entered their 8th year having hung banners reflective of 3 state championships, having played in 5 state title games, and having won 75.2% of their games. Success has been synonymous with the North Stars since day one of their inaugural campaign back in 2007-08. However, this one may just prove to be the most challenging for head coach Jamie Blackwood, who has the youngest, least experienced, smallest team he's guided so far. With just 13 players on the roster, 5 of them freshmen and 1 a sophomore, the North Stars aren't particularly short on the depth and firepower that became their trademark in years past. This season, Washington County will rely heavily on where its experience resides, on defense. Senior goalie Jeremy Benda has already been called on to keep his teammates in games early. Benda was required to make 25 first-period saves in the North Stars' last 2 home games combined, compared with his team mustering a total of just 11 shots at the opposite end in the same time frame. While Benda helped Washington County escape those opening periods even on the scoreboard at 3-3, it's not a formula for winning hockey, and the North Stars found that out firsthand December 8th against league-leading Urbana. The North Stars suffered an 8-1 setback to the Hawks, a margin of defeat that matched their largest of all time, which happened twice back in the only season in which they finished with a losing record, 2009-2010. Zach Elmahandas, a part of 24 victories the last 2 seasons, has had to turn offensive. He's oftentimes had to vacate the blue line in an effort to set up teammates, which he's done 4 times, or score himself, which Elmahandas has done second most on the team so far. And Shaylin Ruan, whose ice time has been limited recently due to the effects of a non-hockey related concussion, is the only other senior on the 2014-15 version of the North Stars who are off to a 3-2-1 start. To add injury to insult, promising sophomore winger Seth Lagruda sustained a back injury in the Urbana game. His status for the near future is unknown. As for the future, it might have already arrived in the form of freshman Dalton Blundell, who leads Washington County with 6 goals through 6 games, burying that one courtesy of junior Nate Leifke, who's tops on the team with 5 assists. While promise exists, reality promises a slow go of it this season as the North Stars navigate the speed bumps on the road ahead. Having said that, we're still talking about a team that's won 27 of its last 32 games at the Hagerstown Ice and Sports Complex and has 3 more games there and 7 overall to season itself, improve, and perhaps even make a run back to the playoffs before this one ends. To use a horse racing analogy, never count out a horse in the race with the back class that this one possesses. Good luck to the North Stars and all of our county winter sports teams, coaches, and athletes over the next 3 months. To all of you, from all of us at Inside Sports, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Enjoy your holidays. Thanks for watching, and for the record, our next news show comes your way January 8th. I hope to see you then on The Inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers. Hey.